Hello, good evening, everyone. Tell Me Your Story welcomes all of you to yet another episode of Poetry with Antara and Deyasini. We are honored to present today three of our eminent international poets, Miss Yolanda Leotta from Italy, Mr. Sandesh Gimere from Nepal, and Miss Eva Petropoulou Dionu from Greece, who are our esteemed guests for today evening. They will recite their poems on monsoon, the theme for the month of September. We are calling for submissions of short stories and poems on the Homemaker. Registrations are also open for the writing program Season 3 in collaboration with Simon and Schuster India. We look forward to a glorious poetry evening with each one of you today. So let me introduce our esteemed guest. Eva Petropoulou was born in Xylocastro, Greece. Initially, she loved journalism and in 1994 she worked as a journalist for the French newspaper Le Libre Journal, but her love for Greece won her over and she returned in 2002. She has published books and ebooks, Me and Myself, My Shadow, Saika Publications, Geraldine and the Lake Elf in English by Oscillator Publications, as well as The Daughter of the Moon in the fourth edition in Greek and English. Her work has been included in uh, the Greek Encyclopedia Haris Pastis, page 300. Her books have been approved by the Ministry of Education and Culture of Cyprus for the Student and Teacher Library. Her new book, The Fairy of the Amazon, Marcia, dedicated to Moscow, a girl, she has been in the wheelchair now with a disability after she was sexually assaulted, and Les Cadio Horn, Myths and Stories of the Far East, illustrated by Sunni A. painter Dina Anastasiadou, are released in 2019. She recently published her book The Adventures of Samurai Nogashika-san in English by the publishing house On Time Books in UK. This book has become the bestseller in four categories in UK and England. She recently published her poetry book The Gate of Love, and recently she will present her book in September. Eva is a member of the Association of Elia Mundi Serbia, the International Society of Writers and Artists of Greece, and the Pyrrhus Society of Letters and Arts, as well as the Corinthian Writers Society. Annette's daughter, thank you. It's a pleasure, Eva, to have you with us today. Annette's author, Mr. Sandesh Gimere. He's an author, writer, poet, editor, and a translator. As an author and writer, he has written articles for several international publications, including Student Council India, Homo Universalis Magazine Greece, Literary Portal Balkan, Silk Road International Poetry Festival China, at Tunis Magazine Albania, Poetry Zine Magazine, Tash Magazine UK, Enheduana's Literary Garden, and the Poet Magazine England. His literary works have been translated into several languages and published. He is the author of books like Peace and Harmony, The Universe, Chittharad New Pain, A Scouter's Memoir, etc. He has served as a chartered member of Chitwan Central Leo and Lions Club, International Coordinator of Science Forum, International Coordinator of Student of Sava, and Coordinator of National Service Scheme NSF. He is a life member of ARCDO International. He is currently the National Chief Secretary for Mother Teresa International Foundation, Brand Ambassador and National Chairman Nepal of Ikra Foundation. He is the Director of Kalika School and official convener for the Kalika School International Advisory Board. We welcome you, Sandesh. Thank you for being with us today. And next, Annette's daughter Yolanda Leota, she was born in Italy. Her poetry book, L'Esploratrice dei sentimenti e dei valori umani. In English, The Explorer of Feelings and Human Values, is published by Alessi Editor, presented at the Federiciano International Poetry Festival. Testimonial of the public event was Alessandro Quasimodo, theatrical director, son of Salvatore Quasimodo, Nobel Prize for Literature. She takes part in the master classes with Mughal lyricist David Rondoni, playwright. Her recent publications are on the Quiver Review, OPA Anthology, Lothlorien Poetry Journal. To welcome you, Yolanda. Thank you for being with us
Thank,
today. So it
thanks so
was
much.
wonderful to have you, to have all three of you, Eva, Sandesh, and Yolanda. So the theme for the month is monsoon. And the raw feeling that monsoon rain brings along with it to get in the mood for this perfect season, delights our soul. And the rain brings with it the promise of all things new and full of emotion. The raw romanticism that rain inspires is a thing so rarely articulated that generations of authors, poets, and musicians have tried to capture it through their words time and again. So the overwhelming calm that accompanies a storm, or the sound of wind whistling in the trees right up before the rainfall, is like nature at its best. So now I would invite Eva to recite her first poem on monsoon. Eva,
Thank
please go
you.
along with
Thank
your
you.
first.
Thank you so much. It's a
Welcome.
pleasure
Please
to
go
be
along with
here.
your first poem.
Thank you. To tell the story. Thank you so much. I'm very glad and honored to be with international poets as Gimer, that he's a very good friend, and Yolanda. I'm happy
Okay.
to meet you. So my first poem about monsoon, I believe that the rain is like the tears in the human. That means that every time that the nature is coming with the water, that means that we have enough of everything. So we
Yes.
really need the rain. But what makes me scared and where my thoughts are is in the last days in New York, New Jersey, and some other city in
Hmm.
United States, that there is a lot of monsoon like Ida, that it's destroy a lot of houses and make a lot of deaths. So I base my poem in the stories that my friends that live in states they tell me about. As one night, I'm sorry, they woke up and they saw water coming out from the walls. So this is how the first poet goes. Monsoon, not my friend, a little drop, noisy drop, wake me up in the middle of the night, darkness upon the sky, not even a half moon. I hear a strange sound coming from the stairs. Close to the door, I approach my ear. I hear the strong wind, water start to coming from every corner. Monsoon is not my friend. I don't say even good morning. I grab my poetry books. I run out in the open space. I saw a cow flying. I saw a girl in a canoe. The moon soon was there, in front of me. I look at him, she look at me. Strange feeling. You have no power. You feel like a bee or an ant. Monsoon approached me. Water came from the subway. The wind took so many roofs away. Human began to wonder, is this the end of my miserable life? Or this is an example of God existence? Punishment? Monsoon and winds, the rain. I saw an elephant flying.
Okay.
Or was a unicorn? My imagination playing with my mind. My heart is crying. Today I'm a refugee on the earth. So this is my poem, the first one.
Beautiful.
Okay, Eva, thank
Congratulations.
you for reciting.
Wonderful.
Yes, it's like it's wonderful. It describes the melancholy. It has that melancholic feeling into your poem of the monsoon poem, which you just now read. So now I would invite Sandesh to read your first poem on monsoon. Sandesh, please go now.
Yeah, Antara, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But Eva said just like some of the dark side of monsoon, but monsoon. As India is one of the agricultural country, and we generally have like we have
We're losing him.
Okay, yes, okay, I will let Sandesh come back. So let's go on to Yolanda. Yolanda, you just go on with your first poem on monsoon. Let Sandesh come back.
First
We
of
will
all,
definitely. Please.
first of
Start.
all, I
yeah.
want to
Shall I
thank.
begin again?
Oh, Sandesh is back. Mm, okay, Sandesh, please carry on.
Yeah. Shall I begin again?
Um,
Okay.
yes,
Thank you.
Sandesh.
Yeah,
Yes,
generally, yeah. Shall I begin? Everyone is
yes,
hearing?
is it fine? Yes,
Yeah,
you should
okay.
begin again.
Yeah, thank you, Antara. Thank you. And yeah, especially for me, in case of Nepal, Nepal is one of the agricultural country, and it is the land of water also it is called. And for Nepal, we have four seasons. That is the summer season, we have the rainy season, we have the wind season, and we have the spring season. And this monsoon season or Varvik season, so we have a very very
Okay,
beautiful touch with the rainy season. Yeah, is it clear?
okay. Yes, it is clear now.
Is the sound coming? Yeah. So in case of
Yes,
Nepal,
it
we
is
have
sound.
four
The sound is
seasons.
coming.
That is the summer season and rainy season. Yeah,
Yes.
the summer season, the rainy season, and the winter season, and the spring season. So this rainy season or the monsoon season, it generally appears in Nepal after the dry season. That is the summer
Yes.
season. So during this season, we feel very happy with the season because how the drop of rains that touches the dry soil, the smell of that soil, the wet soil, due to the first touch of that raindrops, it has a very emotional connection with us. And as an agricultural country, we have a very big importance of rainy season because during that season or that time of the year, generally we make a lot of plantation of the crops. So it has a big importance for us. And personally, if I say, the way in our youth we play in the field with our friends and the way the rain touches our skin, I can still feel it. So rainy season, it has a very big importance for us in a positive way. And in other way, if we see, Nepal is a mountainous country, and due to its hilly regions, a lot of landslides activities also occur. But as overall situation, if we say Nepal, then we can tell that it is one of the very important and beautiful season that I find in my mind. Now, let me begin my poem. This monsoon days. Is everyone hearing?
Yes, you're audible, Sandesh. Please
I think a lot of
go on with your
disturbances
point.
is
Yes, yes.
coming. Okay. I'll begin my poem. The name of the poem is Monsoon Days. Little background I'll put with the words. When I look back into my memories, that sweet childhood full of playing in the streets, A beautiful season, drops of spears from the sky. Black and blue color brings a message from the light. Dancing as if eternity we have. What beautiful days, what beautiful times. This poem actually moments when I used to enjoy the childhood days. So most words I have written emotionally against myself. No worries in the head and lot fun to share. When I close my eyes and go deep inside, I feel those walks on the wet soil, singing nature and playing different beats. What lovely days, what beautiful times, memories of those wonderful monsoon days. So this poem is generally based from my younger days. Just like closing my eyes, when I go back to those memories, I can feel it. The way the spears of that drop of rain that is touching my skin, I can still feel that sense. So emotionally, the poem is very much attached with me, and it's just the story of my memories back into my younger days. Yeah, thank you very much. This is all about my poetry.
Okay, thank you.
It was
Maybe,
wonderful, Sandeep. It really
maybe.
really showed your passion and your nostalgia is reflected in the poem itself. So wonderful.
Thank you so
Now,
much. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
you're most welcome.
Beautiful.
Now, going on to Yolanda. Yolanda, please kindly recite your first poem on monsoon.
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to the live show Tell Me Your Story, an evening of poetry. I express my gratitude to the organizers of the event. I willingly accepted the invitation to share with you my passion for poetry and the writing. I'm interested in Indian culture and I'm fascinated by Hindu mythology. I discovered that India has a lot in common with Italy. We have in common respect for traditions, the importance of family, food as a moment of joy, and encounter with other religion, passion for music, interest in literature. In Calcutta, the intellectual center of India, as in Rome in Italy, you can read everywhere. There is cultural vivacity, and people are immersed in the world of books. The Italians, like the Indians, have developed by culture and contingent situations a great virtue like patience. We always find a solution to small and big problems, if not with reason, with creativity and ingenuity that makes the impossible possible. And now I wanted to explain the motivation that gave me the possibility to write this poem, Monsoon. I wrote this poem Monsoon after reflecting on the disasters that occur in the world as a result of climate change. Floods, landslides, tsunamis, cyclones are natural phenomena that leave us dismayed and powerless. We can only think of how blind, devastating, inevitable the fury of nature is, and how fragile the human beings are. Global warming is likely to make India's monsoon season wetter and more dangerous. The global heating caused by greenhouse gases and the increased moisture in the warmed atmosphere will result in rainy summer monsoon season and unpredictable. In July, the west coast of the Asian nation was hit by exceptional rainfall. In the area, 150,000 people have already been evacuated. The rains overwhelmed hundreds of villages, sweeping away houses and leaving residents stranded. A landslide flattened the small village of Talia, southeast of India's financial capital Mumbai. There were deaths and people injured. At least 42 people had died there. Rohingya refugees mostly live in shacks made of bamboo and plastic sheets that cling to steps, bare hills, and flooding has further worsened their living conditions. 5 Rohingya, including their three children, were buried and killed after part of a hill crushed their bamboo and tarpaulin shanties in Bakulai camp. Our planet is alive and moving all the time. The forces that nature is able to unleash escape the control of man, who can only attempt to use his knowledge and experience well to limit damage. Peace, man and nature are linked to each other and forced to share the common earthly fate. For the quality of the future of civilization, we must safeguard nature, safeguard creation, and promote sustainable development. We must create a new mentality and a new awareness that sees the environment and nature as a good that is, at the same time individual and collective, intended for catch and together with everyone. This is the motivation. Now I read the poem Monsoon. The Indians watch the clouds in the sky, waiting for the refreshing rain. After months of scorching heat, the monsoon is coming. Stormy wind, water rivers overturn from the black clouds, lightning that tear the sky. Shataka, the black and white cuckoo, after suffering for a long time, the first will collect the clouds to make it rain, and finally can drink the drops of rain fall from the sky. Then the storm subsides, and a landscape with bright colors appears. Nature blossoms into a myriad of shades of green. With the song of birds, enthusiastic people run through the flooded streets among myriads of umbrellas and colorful capes. In Rajasthan, you read the joy in people's eyes. They celebrate and thank the rain. A few drops of rain change the colors of the landscape. The yellow leaves are covered in a flash of green buds. The sunsets are colorful. In Jaipur, we celebrated the feast of Yay to encourage the arrival of rain. The goddess Parvati parades in procession between rows of women richly dressed, wearing makeup and decorated, on the back of elephants, horses, and camels. We learn to respect every little flower. There will be no more landslides and fires. Pardon, I read the wrong page. Excuse me. Ah, excuse me. Oh, just a moment. The monsoon is spectacular, but sometimes nature rebels. The monsoon rains can be devastating. With climate change, weather events become increasingly extreme and unpredictable. It's the kids who pay the highest price. In the refugee camps in Rohingya, the rain killed 5 children. Many refugees were forced to leave their homes for the risk of landslides and flooding. The monsoon, a long-awaited event, is fundamental to the life of plants, animals, for sustenance of millions of people in Indian subcontinent. The rain strengthens the forest and agricultural land. Nature is magnificent, but it rebels against man, doesn't respect it. The time will come when there will be no more death, devastation, and fatal diseases for children. Malnutrition and malaria will fade. The time will come when there will be more love among men. Rishastring and Shanta will fall in love. Vibandaka will bless his son. The land hit by the long drought will return to bloom. The rains will fall regularly. The life circle will regain its balance. The time will come when the flowers, Nilaturingi, will bloom every year on the slopes of the mountains. will learn to respect every little flower. There will be more landslides, no more landslides and fires. Love for nature will bring fertility. The musical pillars carved from the rock in the temple of Idala and the others that have been lost over the years will rise and spread an amazing sound that will be heard in every place of the earth. And the time will come when Mother Nature will be respected and loved by all human beings. The promises of the powerful men of the earth to cooperate for peace will be kept, as Bible persuaded the Emperor Akbar to keep his word. So the dishonest man will repent and attain consciousness. The wise man will set a good example to the corrupt man. The merits of those who sacrifice themselves for the good of mankind will be recognized. The righteous men who will have contributed to the salvation of the planet will receive eternal life as a gift. Nature will become flourishing and luxuriant. The monsoon will be a blessing. The inhabitants of the earth will prosper. The world will be an infinite, perpetual, wonderful place. Thanks for reading me. Thanks.
Excellent. Excellent, Yolanda. Excellent.
It
Like
was
that
beautiful.
ends on
Yeah.
a happy, yes, that ends on a happy note, that monsoon will bring blessing. So how wonderfully and impeccably you have resonated the monsoon along with climate change, along with associating different mythological and historical characters into your poem. It's wonderful, Yolanda. Thank you for reciting your poem.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
My pleasure.
yes.
Yes, you
So
did.
now I will go on to Eva. Eva, uh, you live in a country which is surrounded by seas everywhere. So, can you tell us something about the rains in your country, in Greece? So, can you just uh, put some light into it, Eva?
But Greece, it's about I can say you can say that it's the sea everywhere and some land. That means that we have about 6,552 islands. Only 3,000 they are you can live. The others they are just empty desert. And unfortunately, the last decades we are more than Africa. We take the climate of Africa. That means that before we had 4 seasons. We had summer, winter, autumn, and spring. But now we just go from summer to winter, and that I'm agree with you, Yolanda, and congratulations once more for everything you read and you say. You are exactly you are right that the climate change brings a lot of change, not only to the earth but to our lives. That means that now you can see the snow in Athens, and that is very spectacular. Last year we had snow for over 7 days. And
Yes,
I'm talking about that because normally the Athens was the city, the capital that every doctor said to the people that they had issue with their breath or they could not breathe or they could not sleep or whatever. They tell them you have to go to the capital. The climate is very good for you. But now everyone is going out of Athens because we have that we call a very um, wet and dry climate. That means that even if it's very hot, you can have 42 outside and you can have 26 or 27 water inside, like I mean in the walls of the house. So we see that the sea it's good to have the sea. We are very happy, But we have a lot of issue with the rain and the rivers. Also, there is the water that is going someplace we don't know. It disappears. And I read a research 2 days ago. We discovered that two very large rivers, they just start to disappear. Or we have the water of the sea that they just going back. And we see that there is no rain like before. Me, I'm living in the village that there was a lot of rain in the autumn. That means from September to winter going like October, November, December. And now we are September, and from March until September there was no rain. So we have a lot of phenomena that it is due to climate change that the world it changed. We see about 2 weeks ago that there is more than 4 or 5 icebergs in Siberia that was just go down in the water. We see now in Siberia temperature like 30 or 40 degrees. We see that the forests are burning everywhere, and we cannot stop unless we try to be responsible each other. First, to be responsible to our house and to learn and to educate what we have to do since we are a little child. And after we are going outside the school and in the society, because for me, if we are not what I believe educate, or if we don't have values or ethical responsibility, then we are not going to change anything. If we are thinking about the money or how to grow up a business or an enterprise, or how to make money from, I don't know, things, that's not respect to the nature. If we burn trees, or if we cut trees, or if we go after the whales in the Antarctic, or we kill the birds, or I don't know what, that's not respect the nature. They say that till 2030, and I'm not saying that, and I'm not going to make fear or panic to the people, but all the experts, they know that until 2030, we are going to have more than 1 million refugees of climate change from Bangladesh and from the countries that they are, what we say in the near of the Indian Ocean, because their land it disappeared because of the iceberg that it's going down in Siberia.
Thank you, Eva. I think
so. I believe we must see blessings, but we must also do something for that.
Yes, very true.
Yes, that pretty much answers the question that, this nature and climate change, Mother Nature won't forgive us. If
yes, exactly.
we do not do justice to nature, nature will also won't do justice to us. And we won't be getting seasonal monsoon as we are getting. Yes. So coming to Sandesh now, you are from Nepal, which is a mountainous region. So can you just give some insights, like how are the monsoons, in Nepal, and how do you perceive it, if I ask you?
Actually, in case of Nepal, it is a mountainous country and it is a landlocked country, especially. We don't have any oceans bounded to us. And monsoon season, as it comes after the dry season, that is the summer season for us. And as Nepal being one of the agricultural country, most of us, we are based on agriculture. And so water has a very big importance for us. And this monsoon season has a big importance as we do the plantation of the crops during this season, especially the rice crop. So that rice crop, if we plant it during the monsoon season, and within 4 or 5 months after the monsoon season goes, then we harvest it. So it has a very big importance for us. And another thing is that just like after the monsoon season, generally the spring season occurs for us. That is the festival season. So it has a deep connection with the spring season, and it detaches us with the summer season, the dry season. So we celebrate it very nicely. In one hand, the scenario is like that, and in the other case, there are just like the previous friends told that everything has a uh, just like disastrous effect. So in Nepal also, as we are a mountainous country and we have the hilly regions, we are generally affected by the rain itself because a lot of landslide occurs here during that season, and a lot of rivers are connected to Nepal. Most of the rivers they grow during the monsoon season, and it brings is just like a lot of calamities, and sometimes the houses they are just undergone into the water. So such type of problem occurs. But even though apart from that effect, we celebrate it because being an agricultural country, we have a big importance of it. So and in my case personally, I love the monsoon season as
Yes.
just like the way the rain drops, and just like the trees they get washed during the summer season. The trees are very dry. The greenery field is very dry, and when the raindrop occurs into the land, then the whole land becomes very wet, and it becomes lively, very watchable. So it has a big importance for us. And the way, just like at the beginning of the monsoon season, the way the dry soil is being tossed by that drop of rain falling from the sky, the smell that comes from the soil, the wet soil, it is so good. We feel it. So in my perception, I just love monsoon season. Yeah, thank you very much. I love it.
Yeah, actually, we all love monsoon, with monsoon, a lot of emotions come together. So now coming to Yolanda. Yolanda,
Absolutely.
living on a land surrounded by the Mediterranean. So, can you describe a little the rainy season in Italy? How it is like?
The rainy season in Italy, yes, the climate in Italy is generally temperate. Only rarely are temperatures higher than 40 degrees Celsius in summer or temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius in winter. The seasons are quite well defined. The winter is usually cold, the spring rainy with sunny days, the summer warm and dry, and the autumn serene, more rarely rainy, but never rigid. But climate change in recent years is causing floods and tornadoes also in Italy. Sardinia, Calabria, and Sicily were particularly affected. Greenpeace carried out a study on climate change in Italy and stated that the Mediterranean area is considered by scientists a climate hotspot. In particular, the permanence of African anticyclones allows a greater sun exposure and a greater warming of the surface temperatures of the sea. In fact, there has been a gradual increase in temperatures in the Italian seas. We speak of about 2 degrees centigrade on the surface in the last 50 years, according to what is reported by satellites. The oceans are huge warehouses for the heat excess generated by greenhouse gases. The rise in temperatures of the sea not only causes serious impacts on marine biodiversity and contributes to rising sea levels, but has consequences on what happens in the atmosphere, where meteorological phenomena occur. Greenpeace studied a few years ago in Elba the project Mare Caldo, a network of stations to monitor marine temperatures and to study the impacts of climate change at sea. and publishes the briefing Climate Change and the Sea, Serious Consequences Also for the Man, curated by Antonello Pasini, climate physicist, with the collaboration of the Environmental Organization. The sea transfers more heat to the atmosphere, and the latter can only violently discharge this surplus of energy on the territory with very intense rains and strong winds. Therefore, weather phenomena can become more violent. Even in there are the so-called Mediterranean hurricanes. Fortunately, they are smaller and less destructive than the Atlantic hurricanes. A little because the water of the Mediterranean is less warm than the equatorial and tropical Atlantic, and because they have less space from the ground to develop than the ocean. Even in Italy, we are witnessing the occurrence of increasingly violent events. A tornado hit Taranto in November 2012, caused a death and 50 million euro of damage, with a surface temperature of the Ionian Sea of only 1 degree. Less the tornado would not form, while with the increase of a further degree, its violence would grow enormously. The temperature on Earth and the sea is said to increase further, depending on the scenario of gas emissions that alter the climate that we will face. This means there will be definitely more violent weather phenomena, especially in our country, where the territories are extremely fragile and vulnerable, both in the countryside and in the cities. The SAP is a greatest risk. From Lampedusa in Sicily to Catanzaro in Calabria, the columns of mercury record ever higher temperatures, a situation that exposes these regions of southern Italy to the concrete risk of desertification. The dry and arid climate also increases the risk of forest fire exponentially. The high tongues of fire and flames in recent years have destroyed hectares of woodland. The high temperatures are also rapidly changing the peninsular flora and fauna. Tropical fish are increasing in our waters, with serious repercussions for the precarious balance of the ecosystems. Warm temperatures and the humid climate that, among other things, has attracted an increasing number of taiga mosquitoes, vehicle of diseases unknown to the Italian immune system. The beautiful beaches bathed by the Mediterranean Sea are also at risk. Marine levels will increase by at least a meter over the next few decades due to the melting of ice. Miles of coastline are at risk. Venice is the most trembling region. The proverbial water invasions that fascinate tourists could become habitual with terrible repercussions for the lagoon city. Despite the demands of climatologists and the very serious impacts of climate change on territories, ecosystem and man, politicians in practice do nothing. It's necessary to build a decarbonized society, while today the Italian government shows that it still wants to continue to focus too much on fossil gas. The experts are pessimistic. The Mediterranean will become increasingly hot on our fragile territories. The action must be swift and incisive, both for the mitigation of the warming that for the adaptation of cities and human settlements. They calculate that we still have time to counter the deleterious temperatures rise with lower pollution emissions into the atmosphere. But climate change skeptics have one important political set in the world. Are to witness a clear change of trend in the short term, unless the behavior of citizens who care about the future of their country and the entire planet changes for the better. Thanks. Finish.
Hello,
Thanks.
my it was excellent. Okay. So, uh, Eva, I will come to you now. So, like, tell us something about, like, you are from Greece, okay, and monsoon does not have a very essential role to play over there. So, can you tell us something how it influences your culture? The rains, if I talk about the rains, how does it influence your culture in Greece?
Greece was an agriculture country before long years ago. I can start since 1981. We had a lot of importance from agriculture, but as you know, Greek has a decade of crisis. So unfortunately, there is a few agriculture, and for them, the rain is very important. As we have orange and olive tree and potatoes and cucumber and watermelon, as we have all that, and not the rice, but we have all you can imagine. So really, it's very important if we have the rain. If the rain is not coming, nothing will grow up. So the last years, we have a very strange climate. That means that the rain drop when we don't need. The rain come when we don't really need. So it's destroy, then give us blessings. And that is happened for almost 7 years now. As we are waiting for the rain and then snow coming. We are waiting for something and then nothing's coming. Me, I'm coming, as I tell you, from a village that rain was important, but it was not coming always. And we cannot blame the rain. The rain is like the sun. We need the sun and we need the rain to grow up the fields and the olive tree and everything. And if you want, I speak like a poet in sentimental way, that it's like the rain time, it's always an inspiration for every one of us, because after we are human and we are made from 80% for carbon, that means water. We are water. So we can only be inspired by the water. That's why when you see the rains coming, a lot of poets and authors, maybe they have their best quality poem or their best, like we say, literary work that is coming out, because the rain already speaks to our heart. We can feel nostalgia, we can have memories of the past, or we can even cry a little bit. So we can wash off our eyes or the bad memories or the sadness. That's what is going on with the rain when it drop in a place. It's washing off all the bad things, and it's growing up a tree. So for me, I'm not that a friend of the rain. I cannot say I like winter or autumn. I like spring and the summer. I like sun, but I can create in the time of monsoon or rain, and I hope always, and I believe that everything it's around us. It's necessary for us to move on and to live with. But
That was
we also
excellent.
have monsoon and tornado now. We become every city, every country becomes the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so now coming to Sandeep. Sandesh, can you please tell us Nepal has a rich cultural heritage. So
Mm.
how do you perceive how does monsoon have an impact on your culture in Nepal?
Yeah, thank you, Antara. Yeah, previously also I told the same thing as Nepal is a landlocked country and it has a very big importance of rainy season. It's like especially Nepal has four season, the summer season, then after it comes the rainy season or the monsoon season, then the spring season comes, and finally the winter season comes. So those four seasons repeat around the year, every year. We face the four seasons, and especially the monsoon season. It has a deep connection because it comes after the summer season, the dryness of the soil and the dryness of the nature. So it washes that dryness and we enter into the wet season. So it is very good for us. And especially Nepal as being an agricultural country, and we have a big importance of that rainy season for us. And culturally also it has impacted us because being an agricultural country, we require water. And during that season of the time we have just like we plant the crops and we harvest them after 4 5 months. So it has that cultural importance for us. We are very much familiar with this monsoon season and we love it. Even though my friend Eva and Leander, they talked about the uh,
Exactly.
that side
So
of that rainy season. But even though we have that kind of effect also, but apart from that effect, you can say that we love it. And culturally, we have a deep connection with this monsoon season. And even in my poem also, you can see that I'm talking about the emotions of my youth, how I used to enjoy this season. It's like playing in the street with my friends, and we used to enjoy. And just like we used to go for swimming in the nearby ponds and lakes. That kind of connection we have with this rainy season. So culturally also we are deeply affected by this season. So we love it. I have no just like negative words to say about monsoon season because for us it is very important. Yeah, that's all.
okay. So that was pretty, you had explained, seriously, monsoon has an immense role, to play in our culture.
Mm.
So coming now to Yolanda, same thing for you. Like, how do you think, the monsoon affects your culture legally? Has
Sorry,
Excuse me, could you
Yolanda.
repeat it? Yes, sir?
How does monsoon affect
Can you
your
Yeah.
hear
culture
me?
in Italy?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I begin. I am fascinated by monsoon legends. That's why I mentioned it in my poem. A few years ago, I was impressed by the photographs taken by photographer Steve McCurry between 1983 and 1984, commissioned by the National Geographic magazine to document the monsoon season. The American photographer embarked on a long journey that led him to cross the Indian subcontinent, moving between India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. McCurry, known for his meticulousness and attention to detail, planned the route taking into account the displacement of the monsoon rays, which in the period between June and October kick off from the southern parts of the subcontinent, then continuing northwards. To be able to take photographs, he found himself in the need to use a boat to move between the valleys completely submerged by water. As a result, the only shooting points that initially appeared possible were either the boat used on the roof of the houses, but these options made the photographer excessively detached from the reality that had been called to document. In Benares, he bought a pair of fishing boots, but even those were not enough because filling with water, they made it impossible to move. So it was that in a small village in Gujarat, in Porbandar, Maker decided to take courage and armed with an old pair of tennis shoes, he almost completely immersed himself in the turbid waters that had submerged the streets. A bold, almost reckless choice, considering that they found himself having to move between the bodies of dead animals, leeches, and mud. But as McCurry said, only if you're willing to take the risk, only if you're completely convinced, then you're ready. The good pictures are in that dirty water. You can't protect yourself. Stand on the edge, a little out and a little inside. If people are submerged up to the neck, you have to be inside with them. There is no separation. You can't stand on the bank to look, but you must become part of history and add it all the way. I was particularly struck by a beautiful photograph of an elderly tailor neck deep in the water that had invaded the streets of Port Bounder, and with a rusty sewing machine resting on his right shoulder. Striking in particular is the smiling expression of this man in stark contrast to the gravity of the situation he was experiencing. A little curiosity. After the publication of this photograph on the cover of National Geographic, Tufa, a well-known sewing products company, having noticed its brand well in sight on the machine, right by the old tailor, decided to contact him and give him a new one. The American photographer found himself facing one of the largest and most devastating rains that has ever hit the smallest state in India, Goa. The incessant rains had given rise to an imposing cascade of water mixed with mud, and the passage from one bank to the other of the bed that had created at the base of the waterfall itself was made possible only by a minute wooden bridge. It's in such a scenario that McCurry takes one of his most famous photos, which became the cover of the volume I giorni del Monsone, published by Rizzoli. A short distance from the photographer, two boys were trying to cross the river in flood, walking barefoot on the stones. The contrast between the forces in the field, on the one hand the two men, and on the other hand the gigantic mass of water, is further accentuated by details. One of the boys held an umbrella facing the waterfall, a gesture perhaps involuntary, and that can only make you think about the impossibility for the human being to defend himself from the fury of nature. Beckery's mastery is manifested in the ability to give such a dramatic situation an indescribable lightness, managing to create that single shot in a delicate play of compositional and chromatic balances, a scene in which the protagonists seem to dance. This is a photograph for the realization of which the American photographer put his life at risk. A few moments after pressing the trigger button, in fact, the axis of the bridge on which he rested, pressing the trigger, he rested his fist, gave way and fell, ending up beating his head against some rocks. When he woke up, the scene that appeared before him was horrifying, as he himself told several times during the interviews. Next to him, in a narrow corridor of a hospital, there were two men. One, who had just had his leg amputated, who was screaming desperately. The other
Okay,
handcuffed to a bed,
Yolanda.
soaked in blood. Yes,
Yeah. Yes. Uh, we have almost. Thank you. That was excellent. We have
okay,
the way you have explained how monsoon has an effect on our
okay,
culture. It's really excellent. So, I would
okay,
like to
thank
now
you.
ask all of you. We have almost come to the end of our event. So, let's go on to our second poem, and let's recite a second poem, and then we can conclude our session. First, I will ask Eva to read your second poem.
Thank you. Give me a moment because I don't have a
I,
lot
I
of
have to leave.
battery. I have to move again. Give me a moment. And to go to my papers.
Please read your second poem.
Thank you. Give me a second. Right, thank you so much. So the second poem is about the rain and rain in the night. If I like the rain, it's only in the night, and I don't know why. That makes me maybe more dreaming or nostalgic about life. So monsoon, it is a rainy night. The birds do not fly, nor the cats get out of home. I stared at the window. It was a strike. Then skies open. The monsoon was created from nothing. Evil comes so suddenly, but it's a blessing. I saw so many birds flying and an eagle flying so high. This monsoon approached my window. These teardrops, this rain. I saw a shadow. It was a black shadow, like a puppet. It was moving all around. Hands and foot was moving. A big mouth was shouting, rain, rain, homes, people, all smashed in a while. We forget beautiful things. We forget God. We forget everything when rain drops. I think that was attack my memories. A big drop attacked my house, my life. It came and destroyed everything. The next day I was alone, without clothes, without smile, without memories, without heart. After this monsoon disappeared.
Excellent, excellent.
Beautiful.
It also has a melancholic, expression in it, like, but it is excellent. Now I'll go on
It
to
has,
Sandesh. Please read your second poem.
thank you, thank you. I'm sorry to move, but I'm afraid that I will lose connection.
Yes.
I don't hear him. We are not hearing him.
Hmm. Yes, we can listen. We can listen you. You have muted
Yeah,
yourself.
sorry,
Sandesh,
sorry. Yeah,
you have
No
muted
I have
yourself.
problem.
muted. So yeah, I'm unmuting it. So for me, the monsoon season is very special, as I have told earlier. It brings a lot of memories into my mind, the days from my younger time. So the title of the second poem that I'm reciting is Season of Monsoon. So it carries a story that belongs to me and the way I view the monsoon season. So it is about that. So the poetry goes this way. I have a story to tell, a day with you to share. On this black and blue moment, all my wishes to all those who care. The season of monsoon, little drops of rain all over the land. The earth rejuvenates within itself. Feeling of a transit moments for days, I have a story to tell. The smell of those fresh green fields, the pouring of rain from the black and blue sky, playing music in a rhythmic way. The season of monsoon is on its way. So uh, basically, it carries how I perceive the monsoon season, the way the raindrops beats into the leaves of the plants, and how it produces the sounds. It's like drum sounds. So it is a rhythmic sound that it carries. So the poetry is basically about that. So thank you very much.
Excellent. How nicely you have established, welcoming the season of, monsoon, very nicely established. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. And
Thank you
Yolanda,
very
uh, please recite your second poem on monsoon. Recite your second poem. Second poem on monsoon. Second poem.
Yeah, please unmute yourself. Even I have done the same thing.
You can just read the second poem. Second poem.
Okay. See, yes. The second poem is entitled Wind. Wind, tell me about the dream that's just reborn in the broken heart of a young life. Blow strongly on the cleansed rain, gushing under the golden sun, like a throbbing heart that melts for love. Just talk to me, wind impetuous. You upset the fearless climbers. You stir the sand in the desert, the salt water in the sea. You break the branches to a yellow tree, suddenly wounded by your vigor. You lift in an instant the trodden dust in the chaos you've left, flooding your ardor. Wind, talk to me about some good things that suddenly you wiped out. Someone that loved this country and never came back. Someone else who begged for love and received a thorn in his heart. About the altruist who sacrificed himself, lost his life, and the uncertain future, possible joy or immeasurable pain. Just talk to me, wind. But if you don't know what to say anymore, tell me that only you are able to destroy in a second the most beautiful inspirations, those loved ones who will never come back. Wind, why don't you talk to me? Blowing loud, you extinguish the fire of lava forever and the hope of a better future. Thanks. Thanks so much. I'm going to make the comment
It
if
was
it's
wonderful,
possible.
Yanda. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So,
I like this poem.
Thanks so
there is,
much.
Hmm.
I want to explain the motivation if it's possible, and if it's a pleasure for you, and I don't subtract some time to you. It's important to explain the motivation of this poem. This poem is wind, is a dialogue between me and the wind. It can be nice to lulled by the wind, but the fury of the wind can destroy everything at its passage. The stormy wind is like death, is a dramatic or tragic event. The wind represents an unexpected event that suddenly changes a person's life. There are people who lost everything, the wind blows hard. There are those who have been forced to emigrate for lack of work, and in the meantime have lost their loved ones. There are those who believed in the loved ones, a husband, a boyfriend, a friend, and were betrayed. There are those who were selfless, generous, who gave up their lives to save others and was reciprocated with ingratitude. There are those who believed in a dream. They chased the dream, but it was impossible to achieve it. Someone prevented him. When the stormy wind has passed, some people has lost everything, the house, the family, the work. The thought of death has taken the place of hope. Where there is war, oppression, tyranny, unfortunately, there can be no future. Life is strange and unpredictable, and preparing for every eventuality must become our strength to face it in the best way. Tenacity and determination must be used to defend ourselves, to secure
so
ourselves when we are under attack. There
There
are
is
people who have
something,
learned the first
Yolanda.
time. Yes, yes.
I guess we have almost come to the end of the session. So there is something magical about rains, you know. They not just calm the passing out, but also symbolize creation and life. So out of this session, we have
Absolutely.
got to know so many things, you know, that how monsoon is a integral part, you know, of human life it has become. So thank you each one of you for joining us in today's session. Eva from Greece, Yolanda
Thank
from
you.
Italy, and
Thank you.
Sandesh from
Thank you.
Nepal. It was wonderful to talk to you and listen to each one of you and your poems. And Tell Me Your Story is calling for submissions of short stories and poems on the Homemaker. Registrations are also open for the writing program Season 3 in collaboration with Simon and Schuster India. So thank you all of you. This is Antara signing off for today. We'll join in some other poetry session some other day. Thank you,
Th-
everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
night.
Antara. Thank you, Eva, and
Thank
thank
you,
you, Leander.
Antara. Thank you,
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Sande.
much.
Thank you, Yolanda. Nice to meet you. Thank
Thank you
It's
so
you.
it's
much.
great meeting
Thank
with you. Thank
Thank
you.
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 Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank
See you.
you.
Monsoon